Welcome to this day's edition, Tuesday's edition of the SNews. Here on the Longhorn Station, longhornstation.com. With Ahmad Brooks, I'm John Medani on this Top 5 Tuesday. If you take out the Texas-Alabama game, which we've done for these purposes, we're going to give you our picks for the 5 bowl games we're most looking forward to watching, and we've got them written down right here. Number 5 on my list, believe it or not, SMU is back in a bowl game for the first time since 1984. I want to see the Ponies take on Nevada, one of the most explosive passing games under June Jones in the country against a running attack with 3 1,000-yard rushers. The team that has the ball last wins. I like Nevada and SMU in the Sheraton Hawaii Bowl.
For me, number 5, it's all about Big 12 versus different conferences, baby. And I'm going to start with this Oklahoma matchup versus Stanford. When you look at this matchup, I realize Toby Gerhart has led the nation in rushing with 1,700 yards. I don't think he's played a defense like Oklahoma. And I know for a fact he hasn't played against a defensive-minded coach like Bob Stoops. He's going to find a lot of ways with a very athletic defensive line to stop Toby Gerhart. And keep in mind, there have been several callers on our show, John, that have said they think the second-best conference this year has been the Pac-10. We'll find out when the Sooners take on, of course, the Stanford Cardinals.
Number 4 on my list is the Meineke Car Care Bowl. No, I can't justify it. My 5, this is the one I have the most trouble conveying why I'm looking forward to it. It's Pitt against North Carolina. Now, what I find interesting to me is, again, familiarity breeds contempt. As we talk about Texas, Alabama, we talk about the familiarity. Will Muschamp and Major Applewhite have for Nick Saban, etc., and, go round and round in that whole mess. I like this matchup because you got Dave Wanstead against Butch Davis. Wanstead, the D.C. for Jimmy Johnson in Dallas, and he leaves the Chicago job. Butch Davis steps up. He's the defensive coordinator. They know each other very, very well. They spend holidays together. Everett Withers, former Longhorn defensive coordinator at North Carolina. 2 really good teams, maybe 2 underachieving teams. I just like that clash, and they both run pro-style offenses. They're going to be very well prepared. I just think that's a very intriguing matchup for me. Number 4 on my list is Pitt against North Carolina in the Meineke Car Care Bowl.
I'm back. Number 4 on my list will be... I don't know where my list is at, John.
You can't find your list? He can't find his list. That's okay, because I can continue. No, you don't have to stop it. I can do this. I can carry this show. Why not? I carry the talk show. Let me carry the snooze, too.
Hold up.
You're not going to react to that?
I'm back.
I knew if I challenged him, he would come up with the list.
Golly. Sorry about that, folks.
S'il vous plaît.
A&M in Georgia. Back to my Big 12 SEC theme. A&M in Georgia. I'm going to go with Gerard Johnson here in the Georgia Bulldogs, folks. The SEC is a conference where we know that it is the best conference, and everybody's chasing those guys. That's fair. I do think that a lot of people didn't give the Texas Longhorns respect for the fight, the way that they had to fight in that game versus the Aggies there in College Station, because Texas A&M had the 7th-ranked offense going into that game. They are now number 5 in the country with one of the best quarterbacks in the country, in my opinion. If you stack his numbers up, Mr. Johnson's to Colt McCoy's, you can make an argument that he was the best quarterback in the Big 12 this year. I think he makes a run starting this game versus Georgia as being a Heisman candidate for the 2010 season.
You sweat a little bit. Number 3 on my list of bowl games that I think you can't miss is the Holiday Bowl. It doesn't matter who's playing in the Holiday Bowl. You know, as a college football fan, the Holiday Bowl is can't-miss television. And we just so happen to have a pretty good matchup, too. Arizona taking on Nebraska. Nebraska and Arizona, come on. And Dominic Suna. A great defense like Nebraska's in the Holiday Bowl where points are mandatory, something's going to have to give. Nebraska may actually score points in this game. And Arizona, you got the kid from Westlake at quarterback. They're a pretty good story, too. I just like that. Arizona, Nebraska... It doesn't matter who the 2 teams are, to be completely honest with you. It's the Holiday Bowl. Don't ever miss the Holiday Bowl. Number 3 on my list.
Number 3 for me, Florida and Cincinnati. I want to see if this Florida team can respond without Charlie Strong, who has now been named the head coach of Louisville. He's going to be a vital part of this team. No doubt about it, Urban Meyer has relied on him for his defensive prowess. It's going to be interesting to see how they respond. Last but not least, you got Tim Tebow. This will be his last game as a college football player. I want to see how he finishes off his career. Is there anything that he can do to convince NFL scouts that he can still play that position? And for Cincinnati, they've talked so much and been really down on Brian Kelly for making that decision. These are little kids that don't understand that college football is a big business, as John always says. And that's true. He had to move on to greener pastures, and there's no doubt about it. Notre Dame literally is greener pastures. So I want to see how Cincinnati responds against the toughest opponent they've had on their schedule. Can they gain respect for the Big East Conference against one of the nation's best in Florida?
That's pretty good. Number 2 on my list, a couple of heavyweights. I love the SEC versus the Big Ten battles. Now, the SEC has usually gotten the better of that. Ask Ohio State. But in this case, the Capital One Bowl is LSU against Penn State. It's Joe Paterno. You don't have to say anything. You know they're going to come in prepared. They're going to be well prepared. They're going to execute flawlessly. They don't have the speed to match LSU. LSU is going to have better athletes. And they've been pretty good. LSU, we give Les Miles a lot of grief, and rightfully so. But, they lost in the fourth quarter to Alabama. They lost in the fourth quarter to Florida. This is a good football team. I just think that's going to be push coming to shove. Very intriguing game. Of all the New Year's Day games, kind of this one stands out to me. I like Penn State and Alabama in the Capital One Bowl.
Number 2 for me, TCU versus Boise State. I know a lot of people are saying, yeah, we'd have loved to have seen them play one of the big boys and pull off defeat much like Utah did a year ago. I think this actually works in their favor. One, because for the second consecutive year, you will have a team that's a non-BCS team that will be undefeated. And that's scary to think. One, they're going to press for the playoffs much like they did. I think the TCU is going to be the team that comes out of here unscathed. They're going to go undefeated. John, they might even say that they deserve a stake in the national championship, depending on who wins. You just never know. So I think this game will be important for the college football playoff system. You'll have the second undefeated team once again, non-BCS conference. It's going to be either TCU, Boise State, two teams that have been very consistent over the last decade.
Number 1 on my list of games I absolutely want to see, I will make time to see, is the Sun Bowl. You always have the Sun Bowl. We can all remember visions of Priest Holmes beating North Carolina. There's always not a cloud in the sky. It almost hurt. You almost have to watch that game with shades on. Crystal clear blue sky in El Paso, Texas. In this case, I can't believe you had this one at number 5. Oklahoma against Stanford. Are you kidding? I want to see Big Toby Gerhart get hit like he's never been hit before. Number 2 in the Heisman. Give me a break. Oklahoma has to perform on defense. They have no offense, and they know it. If Toby Gerhart can withstand the beatdown that he's going to get by the Sooners, then I'll have a little more confidence in what he can do at the NFL level. But I think Oklahoma has a lot to play for. They're playing for next year more than anything else. Bob Stoops does not do well in these games. He's lost 5 of his last 6 bowl games, which sounds bad, except when you consider Jim Harbaugh has never led his team into this part of the season. He's never taken a team to a bowl game. He's not sure what to do these 3 weeks. He doesn't know how to. He has nothing to go by. And there's nobody on his staff that knows that either. The other thing is, the last time Stanford played in a bowl game, their quarterback, Andrew Luck, was 9 years old. And he's not even playing because he's hurt. He's got surgery. I never root for Oklahoma, except in cases like this. I hope Oklahoma absolutely beats down Stanford in the Sun Bowl. And if they do, I'll be watching.
I'm hoping that another Oklahoma team beats down another team, and not my number 1 game of the College Bowl season. Oklahoma State taking on Ole Miss. And Ole Miss was just that. They were old and stanky. They started out the year as number 4, folks. They're going into this Cotton Bowl unranked. Just to go to show you how those preseason rankings don't mean anything, and that's why the feat by Texas and by Florida and by Alabama stand at the top of those lists, and doing what it takes on the grind week to week to get it done is so important. Oklahoma State is a team that in my opinion, that embarrassing loss that they had to Oklahoma, everybody in their program should be running gassers right now still for that. They have something to prove. The way that you get people off of your back, the way that Mike Gundy and Zach Robinson and this team, and we may never see Zach Robinson in a uniform again. And if that's the case, he needs to finish strong against an SEC opponent. Show those NFL scouts that he's worthy of being an NFL-style quarterback. And Ole Miss, they need to beat somebody that's worthy. They didn't do anything against Alabama. Some of their losses were really bad. I need to see this Ole Miss team turn the corner in order for me to say that the SEC is as strong as it is when you have a team that starts off number 4 and is now unranked. Number 1 for me, those Okie State Cowboys versus Ole Miss.
So there you have it. A little longer than normal, but it was worth it, wasn't it? On this Top 5 Tuesday, those are the top 5 bowl games we're each looking forward to this postseason. The 34 college football bowl games, the gluttony begins this Saturday. Many of them you can hear right here on AM 1300 The Zone. Check our website for listings at longhornstation.com.